Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to be exploring the world of high-performance computing and AI. You know, all that really complex stuff that sounds like it's straight out of science fiction, but it's actually happening right now. We're using a report from Semi-Analysis as our guide, and they've got some pretty interesting stuff about Nvdia, a company that's really leading the charge in this space.
Yeah, Nvdia just released two brand new data center GPUs, the GB300 and the B300.
Oh, wow.
And what makes this so interesting is that it's only been about like 6 months since their last release.
Really?
So that kind of shows how quickly they're moving and how aggressively they're pushing forward in this race to develop the most powerful AI hardware out there.
It's like a surprise Christmas present in January. Okay, so new GPUs, that's cool, but what's the big deal here? What's got everyone so excited?
Well, these GPUs are specifically designed to power a new type of AI models. They're called reasoning models. And think of it this way. Traditional AI, it's really good at recognizing patterns, like let's say identifying a cat in a picture.
Right.
But these reasoning models go way beyond that. They can actually solve problems, understand context, and draw conclusions from information. It's like a huge step forward.
So instead of just seeing a cat, it can understand what the cat's doing, why it's doing it, and maybe even predict what it'll do next.
Exactly. And the implications are just mind-boggling. Imagine AI that can truly understand and respond to natural language, write compelling stories, or even compose original music. We're talking AI that can actually think more like a human.
Okay, now I'm getting goosebumps. This is starting to sound less like science fiction and more like, the near future. But where do these new GPUs fit into all this? Are they kind of the key to unlocking this next level of AI?
Absolutely. The semi-analysis report goes really deep into all the technical details. And one of the biggest takeaways is that memory capacity is actually king when it comes to these reasoning models.
Memory, really? I thought it was all about processing power. You know, how fast these chips can crunch numbers.
Yeah, speed is important, of course, but it turns out that memory is actually the real bottleneck here. So the bigger the memory, the more information a reasoning model can hold and process at once. And that's just crucial for handling complex tasks and those long chains of thought that lead to really sophisticated results.
So it's like trying to solve a massive jigsaw puzzle, but you can only see like a few pieces at a time, versus having the entire puzzle laid out in front of you. You'd be able to make connections and see patterns much faster with more information readily available.
That's a great analogy. And the report actually gives a concrete example. Switching from the older H100 GPU to the newer H200, which mainly has more memory, resulted in a 3 times reduction in cost and a significant increase in performance for those complex reasoning tasks.
Wow, 3 times cheaper. That's huge. So is that what Nvidia is doing with these new chips? Just stuffing them with tons of memory?
Well, they've definitely increased the memory capacity. The B300 now has a whopping 288 gigabytes of memory. But Nvidia also has another trick up its sleeve. It's a technology called NVLink.
NVLink? I haven't heard of that. Fill me in.
So NVLink is kind of Nvidia's secret sauce. It's a proprietary technology that allows them to connect multiple GPUs together seamlessly, essentially combining their memory pools into one giant superbrain.
So it's like creating a team of geniuses all working together on the same problem.
Precisely. And this gives Nvidia a massive advantage because they can just scale up the memory available to these reasoning models far beyond what's possible with just individual GPUs. Even though some competitors like AMD have GPUs with a lot of memory, they just can't match the interconnectedness of Nvidia's NVLink system.
It sounds like NVLink is a real game changer. So what does all of this mean for the companies that are actually using these GPUs to build AI systems? I mean, we're talking some pretty big players here, right?
You're talking about hyperscalers. So these massive companies like Google, Amazon, and Meta that run these giant data centers.
Right.
And yeah, this shift towards reasoning models and this need for more memory is causing some pretty big changes in how these companies work with NVIDIA.
Okay, so we've got new GPUs with tons of memory, this super connector NVLink, but what's the impact? How is this actually changing the game for these hyperscalers?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. With the GB300 and the B300, NVIDIA is actually changing its entire approach to supplying these chips. Instead of providing complete ready-to-go boards, they're moving towards a more modular approach.
Modular, so it's like buying the ingredients instead of a ready-made meal.
Exactly. NVIDIA is supplying the core components like the GPU and CPU, but now hyperscalers, they have to source the rest of the parts themselves and assemble the boards. It gives them more control over their systems, but it also adds complexity.
So it's a trade-off. More control, but also more responsibility. I can see how that might be a challenge, especially with such cutting-edge technology.
And there's one hyperscaler in particular whose story really illustrates this challenge: Amazon.
Ooh, Amazon. Always a fascinating company. What's going on with them? So last we heard, Amazon was having a little bit of a struggle with their previous generation of GPUs. What exactly happened?
Well, they decided to use a lot of their own in-house components, and they stuck with air cooling for their servers, even though Nvdia recommended a different approach. And this meant they couldn't really use NVLink effectively, which really limited their system's performance.
So they tried to do things their own way and it kind of backfired?
Yeah, you could say that. Their systems ended up being less powerful and more expensive compared to like Google and Meta, who went with Nvidia's recommendations, and they got full benefits of NVLink.
Yeah.
It's a classic example of how sometimes you just can't go it alone in this cutting edge tech. Sometimes you need to leverage those specialized solutions to get the best results.
It's like trying to build a rocket ship using only parts you find in your garage. You might get off the ground, but you're not reaching orbit.
It's a great way to put it. But here's the good news for Amazon. This shift towards a more modular approach with the GB300 and the B300 could be a real game changer for them. They can finally take full advantage of NVLink and more advanced cooling technologies.
So this is their chance to catch up and maybe even surpass their rivals.
Exactly. It'd be really interesting to see how they leverage this new opportunity. But Amazon's story isn't the only interesting thing happening in the AI hardware world. The semi-analysis report also highlights some pretty interesting details about a key component in these new GPUs, the HBM memory.
Okay, now you're gonna have to remind me what HBM stands for again.
It stands for high bandwidth memory. It's basically a special type of memory that's designed for high performance computing, especially for things like AI. It's much faster and more efficient than traditional memory.
So this is the kind of memory that lets those reasoning models really flex their mental muscles.
Exactly. And here's where things get a bit surprising. While the B300 uses the very latest HBM3E technology, Nvdia chose to stick with the older HBM3 standard for the GB300.
Really? That seems counterintuitive. Why wouldn't they use the latest and greatest for their top-of-the-line GPU?
Yeah, that's what caught my eye too. According to the report, it seems like this was a strategic decision by Nvdia. They're kind of holding back the HBM3E for a future product, maybe a refresh of the H100 or even a brand new flagship GPU.
So they're playing a bit of a long game here, keeping their best card hidden for the right moment.
Exactly. Creates anticipation, keeps them ahead of the competition, and shows that they're really thinking strategically about how they're releasing their technology.
It's like a high-stakes poker game, and Nvidia's holding all the aces. But aside from memory, are there any other components that are particularly important for these new GPUs?
Actually, there's one other detail I wanted to mention from the report. Nvdia is including their 800G ConnectX-8 NIC on the GB300 platform.
Hold on, NIC, as a network interface card, the thing that lets computers talk to each other. Why is that such a big deal?
It might not sound as exciting as, a superpowered GPU, but the NIC is actually crucial for these massive AI systems. Remember how we talked about those hyperscalers running these huge data centers? Well, communication is key in those environments. The faster the GPUs can communicate and share data with each other, the better the entire system performs.
So it's like building a superhighway for data to flow between all those powerful AI brains?
Exactly. And this particular NIC, the ConnectX-8, it offers twice the bandwidth of its predecessor, and it supports both InfiniBand and Ethernet.
So twice the bandwidth. That means data can travel twice as fast. What does that mean in practical terms for these AI systems?
It means they can be even more powerful and efficient. And this is especially important for architectures like Nvidia's Spectrum-X, which is designed to optimize performance for AI workloads.
Spectrum-X sounds pretty intense. Are hyperscalers excited about this?
Absolutely. Spectrum-X allows them to build even more powerful and efficient systems, leading to better AI performance and lower costs.
It sounds like everyone wins with this technology except maybe Nvidia's competitors.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
But ultimately, competition is a good thing. It pushes everyone to innovate and create better products, which benefits everyone in the long run. But speaking of competition, this new shift in how Nvidia is supplying its GPUs is also having a ripple effect on the entire industry. And that includes the financial side of things.
Okay, let's talk money. How are these new GPUs affecting Nvidia's bottom line?
Well, the report dives into some of the financial implications. Since hyperscalers are now sourcing components directly, it actually shifts some of Nvidia's profit margin onto those companies who are assembling the boards. They're known as ODMs.
Wait, so Nvidia is making less money per GPU?
Not necessarily. Their overall revenue might actually increase because the demand for these powerful systems is so high. It's more about a shift in how that revenue is distributed across the supply chain.
So it's less about Nvidia taking a hit and more about other players getting a bigger piece of the pie.
Exactly. And that's important to consider when we're looking at the impact of these new GPUs. It's not just about Nvidia's success, it's about how their innovations are reshaping the entire AI ecosystem.
That's a great point. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of a new product, but the real story is much bigger. It's about how those innovations ripple outwards and affect everyone involved.
Precisely. And that's what makes this area so fascinating to explore. We're witnessing a fundamental shift in how AI is being developed and deployed. And these new GPUs from Nvidia are right at the heart of that change.
It really feels like we're on the verge of a new era of AI, and we're just beginning to glimpse the possibilities.
Indeed. And as these reasoning models continue to evolve and become more sophisticated, we can expect even more groundbreaking innovations in the years to come.
I'm both excited and a little terrified by that thought. But speaking of groundbreaking innovations, what are some of the potential applications of these new AI models? I mean, what can they actually do that's different from the AI we're used to?
That's the big question, isn't it? We're moving from AI that can recognize patterns to AI that can reason, learn, and adapt in ways we've never seen before. It's kind of like moving from a basic calculator to a powerful supercomputer.
Okay, so give me some concrete examples. What are some things these new AI models might be capable of?
Well, imagine AI that can understand and respond to natural language in a truly human-like way. We're talking about chatbots that can hold meaningful conversations, virtual assistants that can anticipate your needs, and language translation tools that are virtually indistinguishable from a human translator.
That's pretty amazing. But what about beyond language? What other areas could these AI models revolutionize?
Oh, the possibilities are practically endless. Imagine AI that can analyze complex scientific data and help researchers make groundbreaking discoveries in fields like medicine, materials science, or even space exploration.
Wow, so we're talking about AI that can help cure diseases, develop new energy sources, or even discover new planets.
Exactly, and we're just scratching the surface here. These reasoning models have the potential to revolutionize fields like finance, education, transportation, and countless others.
Okay, now my head is really spinning. It's both exciting and a little daunting to think about the potential impact of these AI models, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. We've covered a lot of ground from the technical details of these new GPUs to the wider implications for the AI landscape.
You're right, we have covered a lot. So what are some of the key takeaways you've gleaned from this deep dive so far? What should our listener be pondering as they go about their day?
Well, for me, the biggest takeaway is that we're entering a new era of AI, one where memory capacity is the crucial factor. It's not just about raw processing power anymore. It's about giving those AI models the information they need to really flex their intellectual muscles.
That's an excellent point.
Yeah.
And it also highlights the strategic decisions companies like Nvdia are making to stay ahead of the curve. They're not just focused on building faster chips, they're focusing on creating an entire ecosystem that supports the development and deployment of these increasingly powerful AI models.
Right. And we can't forget about those ripple effects we talked about earlier. The shift towards reasoning models and the increasing importance of memory is causing the entire AI industry to adapt, from hyperscalers like Amazon to component suppliers and everyone in between.
Indeed. We're seeing a realignment of power and partnerships as the industry figures out how to navigate this new landscape. It's a dynamic and fascinating process to observe.
It's like watching a giant puzzle reassemble itself in real time, and we have a front row seat to the action.
And as we move forward, it'll be fascinating to see how these trends continue to unfold and what new innovations emerge from this fertile ground of AI development.
I'm already buzzing with anticipation. It's truly an exciting time to be witnessing the evolution of AI and the incredible potential it holds for the future. But alas, we're running short on time for this deep dive.
Well, before we wrap up, let's leave our listener with one final thought-provoking question to ponder. If memory is truly the key to unlocking the next level of AI, what other limitations might we need to overcome to achieve true artificial general intelligence, or AGI?
Ooh, that's a big one. Are we talking about things like common sense, emotional intelligence, or even consciousness? Those are some seriously big questions. It's mind-blowing to think about what the future holds for AI and what hurdles we still need to clear. But that's what makes this so exciting, right? It's not about having all the answers. It's about embracing the mystery and all the possibilities.
Absolutely. Sometimes the most insightful moments come from asking the right questions, even if we don't have the answers yet. You know, it sparks our curiosity and encourages us to explore beyond what we currently understand.
It's like that feeling you get when you discover a secret room in an old house or a hidden passage in a book. There's a sense of wonder and excitement that just makes you want to keep exploring.
And on that note, before we wrap up this deep dive, I wanted to circle back to a point we touched on earlier. Nvidia's decision to use the older HBM3 memory for the GB300 instead of that newer HBM3E.
Ah, yes. That was a bit of a head scratcher. Why would they hold back their best memory technology?
It seems like a calculated move. Remember how we talked about Nvidia playing the long game? Well, by holding back the HBM3E, they're creating anticipation and ensuring they have something even more powerful to offer in the future. It's a classic strategy in the tech world. Always keep an ace up your sleeve.
So it's like they're saying, hey, this GB300 is amazing, but just wait till you see what we're cooking up next.
Exactly. And that keeps the competition on their toes. But there's another important aspect to this decision. By using that older HBM3 for the GB300, Nvidia can potentially offer it at a more competitive price, making it more accessible to a wider range of customers.
So they're striking a balance between performance and affordability, which makes sense from a business perspective.
Exactly. It's all about finding that sweet spot that maximizes their impact on the market.
This has been an incredibly fascinating deep dive. We've explored the intricate world of AI hardware, uncovered the significance of memory capacity, and even pondered the philosophical implications of true artificial intelligence. What stands out to you as the most significant insight from all of this?
For me, it's the realization that we're truly at a pivotal moment in the evolution of AI. We're moving beyond, simple pattern recognition and into the realm of reasoning and problem solving. And as these technologies continue to advance, we can expect to see a profound impact on virtually every aspect of our lives.
It's both exhilarating and a bit daunting, isn't it? But ultimately, I think it's a cause for optimism. The potential benefits of AI are enormous, and we're only just beginning to tap into them.
I completely agree. And who knows, maybe one of our listeners will be inspired to make the next groundbreaking discovery in AI.
That's the beauty of knowledge, isn't it? It empowers us to imagine, innovate, and create a better future. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive.
Well, thank you for guiding us through this fascinating exploration. It's been a pleasure sharing these insights with you and our listeners.
The feeling is mutual. It's always a joy to delve into these complex topics and try to make sense of them together. And to all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us on this journey into the world of high-performance computing and artificial intelligence. Keep those questions coming, keep exploring, and never stop learning.
And until next time, stay curious.